Welcome back to New Earth News and New Age Networking. Today on the show, we have Brenna with us. She is a human design reader, and she's going to be going over all things human design with us. Christy and I have so many questions. Christy has had a reading with Brenna, and we are so excited to welcome you to the show. So welcome to New Earth News, Brenna.
Welcome, Brenna.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Do you kind of identify as like an intuitive human design reader? Because when you were reading me, like you were downloading some shit through your chakras, like your crown, your third eye, and out your throat. And so I feel like you're very connected.
Thank you. Yes. Well, I have all water and air placements. I don't have any fire in my chart, my astrological chart. My only earth placement is a Chiron in Virgo, which is its qualms, but I'm definitely a channel for sure. I would say I'm intuitive and working on developing those gifts as we speak.
That's so cool. Well, how did you get started in human design? Tell us everything.
Yeah, so I am 30, so I've been studying human design for 8 years now, and I graduated college when I was 22, got broken up with by my first boyfriend, and kind of it sent me into my spiritual awakening where I was like, I have this 4-year degree in art history, but I don't want to be in a museum or in a library all day long. So like what else is out there for me? I don't feel as one-dimensional as life is projecting onto me as I should be, right? The operative word being should. So I found human design on a podcast that I was listening to, and then was like, oh, immediately what we always say is like went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And then it was the thing that was like the red thread that I always carried out throughout the next 8 years of my career up until this point. So I was working, I had a bunch of odd jobs, and I'm a manifesting generator for those who know about human design. We always have 109 Christie's as well.
Yeah.
109 things. Yes. So I was working, like I worked in car insurance for a while, and then I was primarily working in arts and music management. So I would use human design to write exhibition statements and biographies for the artists that I was working with, so I could write in their voice versus my perception of them. And so I practiced it for 4 years before I even started charging anyone. I was like, give me your birth date, time, and information. I need all of it. And then 4 years ago is when I fully started charging. And then really this last year has been my most like pivotal, which they say in human design, it takes you 7 years to fully decondition or shed the projection. So I've kind of hit this like 8 perfection year of my career where I'm able to just be like, yes, I'm a human design mentor and spiritual advisor that does this full time. Like this is my business. I'm not doing it in tandem with anything else.
That's so freaking cool. So do you think that has anything where you're actually like, fuck all that bullshit I was doing, I'm ready to really get serious about that? Do you think that has anything to do with your Saturn return?
A little bit. Well, so I have Saturn. If you read whole sign, it's technically in the second house, but it's conjunct my sun and my Venus. So I've always lived very closely with Saturn, where I've always made me wearing black today is also very fitting. But I have always made the hard decisions very easily. I'm also a Scorpio moon. So for those of you who know astrology, but yeah, there you go. Yes. You get a lot
Melisa
of
too.
Oh, wait, Scorpio, we're all Scorpio moons?
Yes.
How funny. So that's why we're like, oh, okay. Tell me why you
Right?
cry at night. Nice to meet you.
That's so
Yes.
fucking fun. I love this
Yes.
shit. Okay.
So we have wisdom, like we learn things very young, in the relationship with our parents, is always a hallmark moment, sometimes not the hallmark of the movies, but just influential. And we feel those things very deeply. So I think it's the wisdom that we just experience where we're old souls in that way, not always often by choice.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. Oh God, I love you so much. Okay, so can you briefly, to people who have never heard the word human design, like as brief as possible, because it's so freaking complex, describe what is human design?
Yes. Well, luckily I have practiced at my elevator pitch. So I always say that human design is as if you took your astrological birth chart and your Myers-Briggs personality test and made it into an energetic map that shows you how energy flows through your body naturally. So you can advocate for yourself and your uniqueness in this world.
Okay. That was my next question. How can people use this design to live out their fullest, most highest fulfilled timeline and passions? And you know what I'm saying? Like the thing everybody wants so bad. How do they use that on a daily basis?
Well, it's beautiful because I say, like, instead of looking to the left and to the right of you and comparing yourself to what other people are doing and trying to latch on, there may be little sparkles or inklings on other people that you see that are a shared gift that you have based on your body graph and theirs. But ultimately, the sum of all of your parts is how we're celebrating uniqueness and individuality. Because human design body graphs, the full picture of them, it has what's called a Rave mandala in the back. So it looks like, do you remember those old school like viewfinders where we had them as kids and they would
Yeah.
switch like the projector or whatever?
The
So
circle thing.
yes. So
Yes.
it's our little circle and it's like the universal filing system. So if everyone is focusing on their patch of, their section in the filing system, we need you to fit perfectly in there so that it's a nice domino effect of all of us working collectively within our individuality, right? So it's like watering our own grass and then, we can create kind of this whole beautiful field, if you will, together. So I like it because it teaches you that there's nothing wrong with you. A lot of my gifts are helping people doubt themselves less and why they want the things that you want. And I also say, I'm allowed to curse, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always say, like, for everyone that starts doubting themselves and their uniqueness with their body graph and why they are the way that they are, I'm like, well, why the fuck not you? Like, why can't you do,
Yeah.
like, the desires that you have on your heart aren't there for no reason.
Be with yourself.
So yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
I
Yeah.
believe that's what, like, I say that all the time. Like, if you have a desire in your heart, it's because you were chosen for that. Like, it
Yes.
wouldn't be there if it wasn't for you.
I love that. It's so true. It's so true. And I think it's like it's a beautiful domino effect, even within all of our designs. Like, I create the foundation so that Melisa can focus on the implementation, then Christy can pull it all together for the rest of us, just looking at how our designs kind of work together very briefly. So it's like I need to be the foundation so I can give you something secure to even launch off of for the both of you, right? If I'm the archetype of the one and then you both have twos in your chart, we have to make sure that it's solid for a good reason.
Right. That's so cool. So, okay, so God, I have so many questions. So I'm not sure if like a lot of people who've never heard of this before would understand like, so what they do is they go to you for a reading. You get all their birth information, including the time, everybody. And then you have 5 things you can pick from or that you are assigned to. There's 5 different designs. And so like what I went to her for was because I did the astrology, I've done psychic readings, I've done like past life regressions, I've done all the stuff, but like I still can't figure out like why my energy is like this. And in the meantime, the universe shut me down and I was like desperate. I'm like, I don't know what my point of being here was. I was like black hole desperate. And so what she did basically was be like, it's okay to be like this because you're meant to be like this. And it's okay to start something and then quit it because you specifically are meant to start shit and walk away and hand it to somebody else, start something new. That's basically what it is. It's innovation. But each 5 thing, right, has its own reason why it's here. Can you name those? Because I can't.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's so beautiful. It's so funny because it's so, even the way you ask your questions is so within your design. And I love like because I see your chart, it's like my cheat sheet of like, I know how you're enacting on your design so beautifully. But when you were first looking at human design or your first entry point, I say it's one of the 5 energy types or aura types that you can have because human design is actually the study of our energetic body and how we're kind of like that meme that's like we're the ghost riding the meat covered skeleton. Like, how does our aura affect how we operate in the physical, 3D realm? So there's manifesting generators, which is what Christy and I both are, right? Melisa, who we found out is a pure generator, right before the call. And then we have projectors who make up 20% of the population, manifestors who are about 14%, and the reflectors who are the most rare, who are 1%. So 70% of the population, most people probably even listening to this today, will be either a generator or manifesting generator. As a man gen, or how I abbreviate, I say we're the multi-passionate people. So we're not meant to finish what we start. We don't see things through to the societally acceptable ending of things because we're very efficient. So we cherry pick our lessons and kind of sometimes you have to go back and course correct.
Yes.
But we allow ourselves the grace of doing so if we enter into something based on our authority, which I'll talk about in a second. Generators, you guys are also people who are going to have many things that you want to do. However, it's a little bit more of a tempered, like if manifesting generators are like this speed, you have like a little bit more of like a cadence to the way that, especially for you, Melisa, because of your profile. Projectors are what are called non-energy beings. So they don't have definition to their sacral chakra. Because when you're looking at your human design body graph, it's an amalgamation of a bunch of different systems. All those shapes are correlated to the chakras. So they have a lot more open energy. They're known as what we call the seers in human design. So they're here to show us how we can work much more efficiently. And are very much about like implementing systems and kind of like the tinkers. I would almost refer to them as like scientific. They feel a little scientific and like healthily robotic when they're in their design.
Right.
And then manifestors are like the oldest energy type, where they're the kings and the conquerors that like just want to be like, here's what I'm doing. Like, I'm gonna see you and go do my own thing. Like, thanks. But Cleopatra, that's like build the pyramids or whoever. I'm bastardizing, the historical references.
It's fine.
But build my pyramids. All right, I'll be in my throne. You know where to find me. I'm doing my own thing, getting fed grapes. And reflectors are like the sages that sit at the center of our tribe. Or in a perfect world, we would be able to consult them with this sort of open door policy to be like, hey, how the fuck am I doing? Like, am I doing this right? Like, let me consult with you. Because they are completely open, meaning they have no definition or no little shields of armor that are protecting certain chakras. They can create energetic boundaries. Yeah, but it's basically like they're open vessels that people pour their energy into. They're very intuitive. I say to every one of my reflectors, what chronic illness do you have? Because usually you're not taught to like they don't know what the fuck a reflector is, and then they are adrenalizing all this pressure from everyone. And then they would show us like, how are we doing as a society, which a lot of our reflectors, just because of the state of the world, are having identity crises. And I consult a lot with reflectors on how to navigate them through troubled times. Yeah.
That's crazy. My best friend is a reflector.
Yes.
And I think that what she's doing is initiating herself right now into like her next level life.
Yes.
Because she's been a hairdresser, a beautiful hairdresser for so many years. And about 6 weeks ago, she's like, I'm fucking done. I quit. And she quit it. And she's like, I don't know what I'm going to do now because I don't really know anything anymore. But she's the biggest impact I've ever met in my fucking life. She's just incredible. But she's so sensitive, and not in a bad way, but like I feel like she can walk past somebody and catch their attitude. Not
Yes.
She doesn't have an attitude, but you know what I'm saying? Just their energy. And it breaks my heart for her because she internalizes it so much, and she's the sweetest person in the world.
Because they can't.
So if you're a reflector, take care of yourself.
It's like they have many identity crises, where I always say, like, remember when you feel like life gets disappointing for reflectors specifically, it's like, where am I being too serious, and where should I allow myself to play?
Yeah,
that's a big thing. Yeah, they're the only. What's that?
They're like, so there's the four of us other aura types, and then they're in the middle being like, okay, this is a reflection of you, this is a reflection of you need to fix that, you did good here, like that type of idea.
Yes, because they're actually the only energy type that's a lunar being, where the rest of us are solar. So every energy type has a strategy and an authority. Theirs specifically is to wait for a lunar cycle. So they are not supposed to make any major decisions until they've waited from like a whole lunation. So from new or full moon to full moon, because manifest or new moon to new moon, like you can kind of pick, it depends a little bit on the reflector and other nuances, but they're supposed to wait for major like life changes. They usually need to get a sample of every different flavor of the day to be like, okay, well, what feels holistically good for the greater good of myself and then my people. Whereas the other four energy types of us are ruled by, we can make decisions on a dime. Like, it's very easy for us to pivot, generally speaking.
That's so cool. And so each design has, what did you call it? The authority.
Yes. So each there's kind of what I call the big three in human design, similar to your big three, which is your sun, your rising, and your moon sign in astrology, is your big three of human design, which is if you master your energy type, aura type, they're used interchangeably, your strategy, which is always going to be the same no matter what your energy type. Every generator and manifesting generator is to respond. Every manifestor is to inform. Every reflector is to wait a lunar cycle. And every projector is to wait for the invitation. That's always going to be the same. So you master. I'll explain those too if you'd like. And there's like a bunch of different authorities, which I would get into all of them, but I think it'll send us too far in a rabbit hole in this podcast where there's other things that I can teach you, more practical things that you could walk away with. But then you're ruled by a certain chakra of your authority. So I'm a sacral, which I think that all of us are, if I'm not mistaken. Christy, I know that you are. I believe, Melisa, that you are as well. Where we're ruled by our gut instinct, which is going to be like, even people who aren't a sacral authority will use that vocabulary because it's societally acceptable. Yeah, all three of us are sacral authorities, where we're ruled by our gut. Other people can be ruled, they're called self-projected authorities, so they can only hear or make sense of their authority when they speak out loud. I actually had a party this weekend that I read for. I do like human design house parties. Everything with me also has alliteration, which is a common theme between the three of us. So it's, yeah, so you're ruled by a different chakra that helps you make decisions based on you. For most of us, it's getting the fuck out of our head and into our body again and stop trying to overrule things with the logical mind. That's the thing I say often.
I so agree with that one. I so agree.
And
so what's
is the authority or the rule, whatever you were just describing, I'm mixing the terms up. Is that determined by, okay, so like we're sacral, right? Is that determined by our overall human design, or is that determined by like our birthday?
So your birthday is what determines your human design. It's not like, it's not necessarily like if you're a Pisces, you're always going to have an emotional authority sort of thing. It's a little bit more broad. We have what's called, when you're looking at your body graph, you're going to see that your energy centers have these two like structures similar to Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism. It kind of looks like that same circuit. And there's circuits or conduits of channeling energy that channel energy from one energy center to another. So every time I'm looking at someone's body graph and I see the second square from the bottom up is colored in, I know that they're going to be either a generator or a manifesting generator that may have a sacral authority, or because of other channels or conduits from their solar plexus to other parts of them, they may have an emotional authority. I'm looking for what the pathways are that tell me what energy center they're ruled by, which is correlated also to their astrological birth data. Because all of those placements, yeah, they'll correlate to astrology.
So then would every generator have a sacral role or authority?
No, they'll either have a sacral authority or emotional or solar plexus authority. I say emotional authority and solar plexus authority interchangeably.
So interesting. Okay,
so
like, okay.
Go ahead. I've asked a million already. It's your turn.
I was gonna ask you to continue with the big three,
Yes. So the biggest one, the next step after you learn your energy type is like, okay, great, I'm a generator. Like, how do I even use this? Is to look at your strategy, where it's how do we practically implement understanding how our aura is. So as generators and manifesting generators, which the three of us collectively are, our strategy is to respond. So a lot of people get hung up and they kind of hyper focus on the fact like, well, responding implies I have to wait, right? Like it's like there's a waiting there. But because we're sacrally ruled, our body is naturally reacting to our physical wants and needs. When I wake up, do I want to drink a nice glass of cold water first, or do I just want a tea or a coffee? I am of the coffee spectrum. We're constantly responding to stimuli in our environment. And then when we follow those, little breadcrumbs that the universe gives us, it leads us to the next step. Sacral strategy of to respond. It's sacrals especially it's very somatic and visceral. Like it doesn't make sense. We just feel like intuitively based on our gut that we know what's right. And it's a matter of like really, it's the description of like there's always something that we're going to be excited by. We just get to cherry pick what we want to do right now at this level of life for ourselves. Manifestor strategy is to inform. So manifestors are so funny because they are people who like just want to be left alone to do their own thing, right? So they're like, why do I have to tell people like what I'm doing? Or like, I don't want to tell people what I'm doing because not everyone deserves to know what's going on. It's really like informing the people that your immediate decisions influence, like your partners, your family, your children, you know, boss if necessary. But it's just like, hey, I'm doing this. I'm not asking for permission. I'm just letting you know what's going on.
That's so my husband.
Yes,
So
yes.
my
They're very
husband.
polarizing. Either people love them or they hate them, and there's no in between.
That's true as shit.
Yeah. And I'm a manifesting generators tend to enjoy manifestors more because we're a hybrid of generator and manifestor. We're generator with manifestor capabilities. So we'll feel a little bit of that responding, but we'll also kind of inform too.
Yeah.
Projectors are waiting for the invitation. So I say projectors get the feedback of like, stop giving me unsolicited advice. I didn't invite you to give me your perspective. But I always say, for their strategy for projectors, it's two-pronged, where they need recognition that they have something
Mhm.
that is like they're recognized for their specialty. They're like they hyperfixate on a system. So we'll see like a lot of projectors, it's human design and spirituality. Maybe they hyperfixate on astrology. Maybe it's computer science. It could be whatever system is interesting to them. And then when they just are the living embodiment of their practice, people will naturally invite them into conversation to pay them for their expertise. And then reflectors are lunations again. So they'll respond based on, they have like technically no inner authority or lunar authority. With their strategy, it becomes a little bit more complex, but it's in the immediate moments, they know that they can just sample and make a guess, but they can course correct and make a more finalized decision after a month has passed. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. That makes so much sense for so many people I know they're human design type
Yes.
for. Like a lot. Is there anything else like if somebody like you do, she does these happy hours on TikToks, everybody. They're like what, 22 or 33 or 44 for
Yes. You're funny. You're hitting all my price points in a domino effect. So I have, this is where the alliteration, I have three main things that I do. So my TikTok lives are called Human Design Hotline. It's kind of like an Ask Brenna, like Ask Abby, like, you know, I'm telling my age with my, the way
I'm
I'm
all happy hour.
Yes, exactly. So on Saturday, once a month, I do what's called a Human Design Happy Hour, which is my in-person events. I actually have this one sponsored by Soiree, which is
I saw that.
yes, so it's one of the Real Housewives of New Jersey, Margaret Josephs and her business partner Lexi Barbudo. I actually did a human design party with them for Margaret's birthday. So that was
I was
my
on that live, girl.
yes, yes. Yes, it was so much fun. Margaret is amazing. She's a 4/6 profile, and you could just tell where it's her people are her people, and she's so caring about her community. So they're sponsoring my happy hour. So we usually choose. I was doing cocktail and mocktail, but they're a mocktail, and I was like, that's just more this discipline, you know, of like celebrating that we don't really need to be induced to enjoy the feeling high on life sort of thing. You know, no qualms. I still indulge every now and again, but all that to say, that's my human design happy hour. We spend 2 hours together. We enjoy mocktails, and then we talk about everyone's human design. Everyone gets a mini reading. It's like an entry point. And then I actually help people network based on their designs for what everyone needs and what they're literally bringing to the table. So yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, Brenna, that is so beautiful.
Thank
Oh,
you.
The man gen for sure.
Man, Jen, and it's all I have 3 Aquarius placements too, where it's like there's an African proverb that I love. I use it all the time. That was a spiritual advisor of mine, that said, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And like that's very Pluto and Aquarius. It's turned up the dial on my Aquarian placements too, where I'm like, okay, Christy and Melisa and Margaret and Lexi and my friend Morgan and
Yeah.
Olivia and all my people. I'm like, okay, and then you two meet for this, and we're gonna like I'm the connector, which is also my 1/8 channel.
We're connectors too. That's like
Yes.
the whole concept of this podcast. And when you told me that during my reading, I'm like, bitch, no.
Yes. Well, networking is literally it here, like it's in
Yeah,
your background, in your title, right? So it's
right.
like, because we care, we know that everyone has a seat at the table, but it's
yeah.
like it's making sure that they're in the most abundant version of themselves that they can be to know that they're ready for that seat. Because it is
Yes.
a hot seat. It is an enjoyable seat, but it's like you get to that table when you're ready to sit. So
That's freaking cool. Gosh.
yeah.
Okay. Oh God, what was I gonna say? Okay, but your big readings that you can go in and book a
Yes.
big individual reading, how much are those? And the reason I ask people because she does her lives on TikTok, and for like a small price, you can get like a 10-15 minute reading. That's how I met her. And through that 10 minutes, I was like, God, I gotta book a whole reading. And like when I learned more about myself, it helped me ease up on myself. And I just think that's so important for everybody to know about. And I don't have the following for it, but I
Yes.
want everybody in the world to know about this.
Thank you. Yeah, so my 75-minute readings where we go over all the whole enchilada is 222. My half hours are 55, my 15 minutes are 33, and then the 10 minutes that's on TikTok is 22. Because I like to give people an option for what's available to them. A lot of us, there's sense in human design. I'm somebody who's a taste person, so I have to get a sample before I buy the whole thing. So yeah, exactly. We're like, give me a little taste of everything. So that's why I offer like a little bit of everything for everyone, depending on where they are, you know, in their journey. And then I also am going, probably by the time this interview is up, I'll have a section for officially giving people a place to write in if they want my human design mentoring and spiritual advisorship, because that's really where we can like go far together. Like that's the moment where it's like, okay, now we're taking everything that we've learned and
Like
then I'm one-on-one. Yeah, because I'm a 1-3. So my group sessions are for my human design house parties or my human design happy hours. But then in my mentorship, I like to do one-on-one. I also do very limitedly corporate sustainability training, which is when I'll do a group of people, but this is very man gen, like my offer suite. It's called an offer suite for a reason. Yes. So I'll teach people how to, basically we go over energy types as a group, but then here's how you can advocate for yourself in the workplace. Because there's, you know, as we know, there's all this concept of quiet quitting. And if our corporations want a chance at sustainability, there's a lot of things that I know that they have to change.
Gosh, this is so fascinating.
I
Okay,
know.
Brenna. So if I'm already kind of like hearing a little bit like I understand how human design can really just help us like understand ourselves better so that we can lean into our strengths and not beat ourselves up for, you know, our challenges. How else can we use human design? Like in, can we, I'm assuming yes, but like, can we use it like in our businesses, in our relationships? Like, what other areas of life does this apply to and that you help people, you know, with that?
Yes. Yeah. So the two biggest questions I always get are love and career, right? Like those are everyone always wants to know about that, myself included. But you can use it as nuances is this telling me that I have a connection with pets and I should start a holistic health practice with animals or something? I have a client that's doing that right now as we speak because she has the 6217 channel, which is a conduit that is our interconnectedness with species outside of our own, so animals.
How
Which is
cool.
really
So
interesting.
holy shit.
Yeah, I know there's a lot because
Better
human
and better.
design, yes, you can look at it through many levels, similar to astrology. Like there are people who could be, or intuitives, like medical intuitives. Human design, because it's an amalgamation of so many different things. It was created in the 80s in 84, but you have the gene keys, which are correlated to our genetics and biochemistry. You know, astrology, the I Ching, which is an ancient Chinese methodology of intuitive skill set, if you will, intuitive system. But you can look at it through any different lens. So I really love using it for basically teaching people how to live their life sustainably with whatever that means and whatever that entails. So I like to use it most often in career and love, just because those are like the biggest effects, and they're always interconnected. So whenever somebody comes to me for one thing, I'm like, it's never just the one thing; it's affecting every area. I just had that with a mentoring client today who was on her second session with me. And she was talking about her relationship and how it was holding her back. And I was like, listen, well, if you want to, and these are things I say in my mentoring because you get a more intense version of me because I'm like, we're not fucking around anymore.
Yeah.
Like if you want,
Mhm.
I'm not wasting your time or money.
You
And
just took that shit serious.
yeah, exactly. Like if you're, and that's why it's not even public, because it's like kind of like without sounding snooty, like an invite only thing, because I really know intuitively who are the people that are ready for it versus, who are the people that want to bypass and then bring me their things and be like, oh, well, when I vent to you, then you get to hold space for me and deal with it, but we're not actually doing any work. So in mentoring, I'm like, no, you're ready to do the work. I'm giving you homework, like leave the crusty man behind because you have a
Oh,
business
yeah.
to run. You know?
Bye-bye.
Yes. Where are you block? That's been the biggest thing during this Libra full moon. I was like, bitch, you have a business to run. Why is your attention over here? We need to figure out what your offer is going to be, you know, and
Look at
that's
some
what it
side
means.
dick and move on. Come on. I'm
Yes.
so sorry, spiritual community. I went too far.
No, yeah. So
So
it's no,
sorry.
it always, everything comes out when it's supposed to, you know. But
Yeah.
I think too, a lot of people can use it for like how they want to create an offer, how you want to use it in branding, graphics, colors, for how people are going to perceive you most authentically, not what you think people want, but what they actually want from you, which is always going to be authenticity. I just had that conversation today for my consulting client that was at 3 and or mentoring client, and she's consulting for me with my website. So I'm a fan of the barter when it makes sense.
I love it.
And so we were talking about how she was in a business coaching program and she was like, but she's telling me to do something and it's not in my like vocabulary. It didn't make sense. And I was like, to be honest with you, because when I watch your stories, I love you, but it's dated and it doesn't make sense for you. Like I can tell immediately when
Oh,
someone's using their
wow.
design and authentically, and when they're copying somebody else's way of doing something. That's why I take my coaches, and I don't call myself a coach for a reason. Like, because everyone can be a coach now, but I know that the people that I promote, I'm like, no, you actually know what you're doing. So I take that very seriously too. But yeah, that's a long, to not get on that tangent, but yeah.
And I wonder how much like human design plays into that too, where like you want to be creative and like do something special on social media, but like you're also like so inspired by people who are where you want to be, and like
Yeah.
made are like, are certain human design profiles more apt to like source from without before like sourcing from within, and like tapping into their own creativity, and instead just like feeling like they have to regurgitate what other people are doing in their content.
Yeah, yes, and I'm laughing because it's the profile that you have, which is a 2-4. So you guys are always looking. I say this is where you can really I know more about human design than the people that come to me because I'm the expert in this discipline. But if I'm doing my job correctly, I'm teaching you how to be your own guru. I don't believe in there's times and place where everyone has a pedestal or is supposed to be at the pedestal, but it's not command, you know, centric thing. So
Yeah.
2-4s will often look for if they're unhealed, for other people to be their legs. 2-4 for what I'm referencing, for those who don't know, is our profile. So it's almost like it's a proper or improper fraction of a numbers 1 through 6. So I'm a 1-3, for example. So I'm a combination of the 1 is the investigator archetype, the 3 is the martyr. You, Melisa, are a 2-4, so it's the hermit with the opportunist, which is like a natural networker. Like you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and you're somebody who is not going to date somebody or be with somebody that's completely different in terms of a value system than you. It's like you'll probably meet them through friends or like a community that is like very specific. And then Christy is a 6-2. Anyone who has a 6 in their profile actually, up until their Saturn return, lives their life as a 3. And their life has very distinct, like 3 chapters based on their Saturn returns as well. So with 2-4 profiles, they often have to figure out, I feel like you guys are almost born as fawns that are beautiful, but are just trying to get their footing. And then once you find your flow for what feels really good for you, you're not really worried about having to overcompensation is a big thing. I think also epigenetically speaking, with your background, there's like, I have to make it make sense to people outside of myself and more so my family. There's a lot of weight that you wear as 2-4s on your shoulders for having to cater to somebody else's perspective of you.
It
You're
just
kind
gave
of
me goosebumps again.
yeah, yeah.
That's what I know about her.
For
Like,
sure.
wow.
My whole life. But
Yeah.
not, recently though, I've really come in like in the last like 4 years, there's, well, I don't know, maybe longer than that.
Yeah.
But I feel like more and more like I'm so much more solid in myself,
Yes.
and I'm just like almost to the other extreme where I'm like, I don't need
Exactly.
anybody or anything to tell me anything, because like I'm like fully sourcing from within. So it's like I
Yes.
just have to like kind of I guess it's the art of like perfecting that balance.
Yes, because it could really teeter where you're like, it's there's a very thin line. I was talking about this with my friend Morgan, who's an astrologer today. Like, it's a thin line between this is owed to me and I've did everything I can to get to this point where I deserve it. And it's
Yeah.
like that arrogance versus self-worth line that can be a little bit more thin perceptibly from the outside from other people. But immediately when I met you and you told me you were 2-4, I was like, she's already over that hill. I
You
could
did
tell
say that.
within 3 seconds, like where 2-4s are at in their journey. And a lot of the times, like if you are unaware or uneducated about 2-4s who haven't hit that journey, and you're somebody who's emotional and intuitive and empathic, you can take that in and really be like, oh, well, why are they like that with me? Like, why do I feel like I have to prove myself to them? Because everything is us pushed out, right? So it's like the mirroring back of like, I feel something off here, but now me as a human design reader, it's my job to help them bridge to the other side, if I'm doing my job correctly. Whereas me at 18 years old would be like, oh, I don't like that. Like, why are they
Right.
judging me? Or why are they, why do they feel if something feels off here? I don't know why. But the beauty of 2-4s is that when they really just love on themselves and their self-worth and like know that they're fucking cool and bring something cool to the table, they're like the most magnetic people in the room. And you're very much meant to embody, no matter what your gender, a divine feminine approach to life where it's like, I'm receiving. I don't have to hustle and grind and like
Right.
do all that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, I love all of that so
That
much.
is
That's
so cool. You need to get a
Even
full.
just your whole aura and your background and the white and the olive tree and the fireplace. It's like, it's so 2-4. Like, I'm like, you're like this oracle, like angel
I
incarnate.
know.
Like, yeah.
I'm always like, you're like an angel. Like,
Yes.
are you
That was like
kidding
the
me?
first thing I was like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. And that's so 2-4 in her power to me.
Right?
it's so fun. It's like so wow. I just love this so much. This is so
Right.
incredible. Like I never thought that like those aspects of my personality could be because of like a human design.
Yeah,
Yes.
Like
this
that's
is why
so
I've
fun.
been geeking since I had
Yes.
my session with her. I'm like, oh my God,
Mhm.
this is my human design. This is my human. I bought 2
Yes.
apps for $60 each, so I didn't have to keep bothering you, Brenna.
Bother me away. I love talking about this. I'm pro, like when you have my phone number, like send me an audio message.
Really?
I'm like on my walk. Yeah, like we
Oh
can always
yeah.
jam out on
I
this.
do
Yeah.
have 2 questions. One can be answered probably pretty quickly, and the other one I'm not sure about. One, I'm gonna ask them right both off the bat. You run with it. Okay.
Yes.
People who want like spiritual gifts, like me,
Yeah.
I know I'm very empathic. I know I'm exceptionally intuitive, but like people who want other stuff like clairsentience, clairvoyance, claircognizance, can you read that in the chart? And 2, can you briefly, and I'm not in any hurry, I literally have a book.
She's
So
like, I've got time.
for you, can you briefly describe what the incarnation cross is and why it's so
Oh,
significant
yeah.
and important? Because I don't want to forget that. Took
Yeah,
me a
that's like my jam. It's like, so human design has like levels. Human design is already complex, which is why I love it, because I think the best teachers know that they never have all the answers. And human design is a system that you can look at through many different lenses. So I can also look at, to answer your question, to circle back, like I can use it for like people's medical issues, although disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, use your discretion, but like I can tell, I've picked up on when people have had issues with their thyroid because they're not using their open, like Melisa, you have an open throat chakra or open undefined throat center. So you're the people who, if you feel like you're forced to speak before you're ready, it could be developing issues with the thyroid, or you get sore throats or tonsil stones or illnesses, in that way. I feel like you've probably already been pretty good at using it. I don't feel like there was always a struggle. You
More
may have the
for me,
opposite.
it's no,
Yeah.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say where people talk over you a lot. Like just happened right now.
That okay, so that's like I've had to work on that and sometimes like I almost catch myself like it like I interrupt people sometimes now because if I don't, I feel like I don't
forget it.
an entire conversation could take place and I would never say one word. Like yeah, and also like my speaking voice is very soft. And
Yes.
so people can't hear me too. Like sometimes I will speak and like nobody's head will turn toward it's as if I
Yeah.
didn't say anything at all. So I'm kind of like, yeah,
I
I'm
relate
like
to that one though. Like
Yes.
feeling like nobody's ever listening to me. Like I totally relate to that. But
for
so you're
different reasons. It's so like you and I, Christy, both have defined throat centers. I was always the kid who, when I noticed that somebody like you in the group said something, I would turn and look at you and waited until everyone started talking. So I'd be like, what did you say? To make
me
sure that you
too.
could, yeah, exactly. Because we're
Me
aware
too.
of it as
I'm
intuitive
like, you do
people.
not fucking make anybody feel
Yes.
bad. What? Hold
Yes.
on.
Especially when you're with Mercury ruled people, like if we like Gemini placements or people who could like maybe sometimes just be like really getting into the details, so they're perceptively long-winded. Like my friend Morgan too, we were just talking about that, but she's living with me, which is why I keep referencing her because she's in my house as we're talking.
Bring
But
her on.
it's that you can see where like, and she's good with that too, with knowing that about her chart, right? Like you can interject and make sure that everyone is getting the attention that they need. And that's why it's as a 4 as well, it's like with the right people, they will always give you a chance to use your voice. So even in that, you can kind of really refine and distill, like maybe a group of 100 people networking event is cool, but if I really want to be heard, it's probably not the best for me, which is why I cap my human design happy hours at 8 people, because I find that it's the best use of harmonious energy. 8 is also a very like, if for those of you in numerology, it's a very sacred, abundant number.
Is it?
But yeah, it's like a wealth number too. So yeah, exactly.
Where is it at?
Yeah, we'll play with that. Maybe we'll do another like session.
I'm
I'll give
gonna
you a deal
for
on
sure.
some mentorship stuff. Yeah. But yeah, so I would say your first, what was your second question? So I wrap up the bow on that. Oh, incarnation
Incarnation
cross.
cross, your jam
Okay.
girl.
Okay, so let me go back to the first one. So when you're talking about
Oh
spiritual
yeah.
gifts, right? I'm looking at to where, yeah, I can pick up what you're putting down. I can look and see where you have open or undefined centers. So for example, my ajna, which is my logical mind, is completely open. It's also very like Aquarian. I'm aware of new, I think very I make decisions quickly for A or B because I'm very tapped in with my intuition that I don't really have a long-winded
Mhm.
roundabout way to end up with something. Usually I just need to give myself more information, if I have to think of something logically. Intuitively could be very quick. If people have gate 61, if they have, Melisa has the oh my God, which channel? It was one of the channels, the 6447 channel. So I know that like when you're doing something like washing the dishes and looking out, or like washing your hands and looking out like at your kitchen window, like you'll have these major revelations that come to you. You have a very specific way that you channel
Oh,
energy.
oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the shower too, in the
Yes,
shower. It's like when I'm mindless, kind of like when I'm doing something mindless.
exactly.
Yeah.
You're not trying to force yourself to think about something. Again, very divine feminine. I'm open to being a conduit. I have chills on the left side of my body. So it's
Wow.
my affirmative, like you need to
Mhm.
focus on this more. Is like not feeling like you have to force yourself. It's like the less you try to force it, the more it will happen. And it's like the blessing of the universe is like, we got you, but you got to clear the space of those thoughts of forcing. It's for the abundance to
So
come in.
meditate
Yeah.
more.
Yeah,
Stop. Oh my gosh.
exactly.
Not
This is
guided.
this is what came through to me on Monday. I spent the entire day in meditation, and like my overall message was like stop trying to be an angel, like be an earthling, like just be.
You're an
Stop
earth
trying,
angel.
like
Yes.
stop pouring so much into spirituality, like just be. Go outside and put your feet on the ground. Like it was like
Yes.
just in a moment, like just be. That's what you're here. That's what the time is for right now.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. That's it. Grounding is very important for you too, to just feel like, okay, like I've got me. Like I've got me
Yeah.
now. So I love that. I think it's such a beautiful way to like use your gifts too. That's why I could see like when people do channel and they have defined ajna and head centers, which are the two triangles at the top of your body graph. I know that they channel in a very specific sort of way. Whereas people who are open are going to like, I feel like when I'm channeling, I can take on the mentality of the person that I'm channeling for in the moment. So I can almost like see into them.
I think my ajnas, both of my triangles are open. Oh wait.
Yes, I believe so. And then Melissa, you also have your your solar plexus undefined. I do as well. Christy, I believe you do as well, where
I
it's
do.
for our empath everyone is empathic, right? So I feel like that's kind of like a word that like, yes, it means a lot, but there's also so much beyond that, like blanket term where it's like, okay, but how does your empathy really, what kind of variation of empathic are you? There's levels, exactly. So that's where I'm looking at a lot of the times where we have these open emotional centers where like these open cups that the lotus hands, where people are pouring and we're sampling other people's solar plexus emotions. So even when I was living in an apartment, I would feel energy and I would be like, the guy upstairs is having a bad day, or like something happened
Yes.
to the people like next to me. And this can happen with people at the grocery store. We're like emotional sponges where we really have to be good at our purging. So we know that we can really have like open channels or open, vessels for sampling the energy of the people that we're meant to heal.
What about like through screens? Like, because I know energy travels through anything, but like I literally feel that way when I'm watching television and stuff.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm like, holy shit, that person hates her boyfriend and she's,
Yes.
like I really feel like I feel the energy through anything. I
Oh
can look
yeah.
and be like, oh, this is how this person is. Is
100%.
that
It happens to me I'm live most Monday through Thursdays on TikTok. And even there are people who don't even have to have a profile picture and their username isn't their government name. And I know the energy that I'm getting because it's a very quick for me. And that's where we're also, we all collectively have energies where we're vessels between, I say a bridge between both worlds. So it's like we're very tapped into the other side while also being like grounded in this 3D reality too. So it's like a cool kind of like a lot of all my people in my life are like, how am I the bridge? Like, how do I help people from today? And I have 5 planets in Scorpio, so I'm very much used to helping people be the bridge of their transformation and teaching them how to be empowered and the fact that they are also those bridges too.
God, I need to learn mine better, so
Yeah.
much better, because I love how you know everything about yourself,
Thank
freaking
you.
everything. Before you get into the incarnation cross, you said something about something and it made me remember this. I was watching a thing on Unified TV yesterday, and they said the DNA is actually, so like the DNA is our body, and then our DNA is the transmitter for our soul to get in and transmit that information to us. And that was
Love that.
freaking insane to me. It all clicked and made sense. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about,
No, it
but
does though.
our DNA cells are what can, does that have to do with gene keys?
Yes. So the gene keys are literally like, this is so funny. So this is the gate that keeps coming up today. So it's gate 17. It's also 7:37 p.m. my time.
It's
And it's
4:37 here.
there you go. Yes, which is a big number. I always, my guides speak to me through human design gates and human design numbers. So 37 is the gate or the gene key of friendship and family. And it's oftentimes our chosen family. So it's like soul family.
Yeah,
So it's
goosebumps.
like divine connection. Me too. Yes. Yes. So it's, if you could see here, there's almost like, this is the I Ching, but it looks like the strands of our DNA,
Mhm.
a little bit. So
Yeah.
literally, how our genes are connected, you know, to your point. I love that. I feel like that's a beautiful, like, quick summation of like how our
Oh,
DNA is the little ladder that our soul climbs to get to where our energy needs to
I
go.
didn't
Yeah.
look at that adorably. Oh my
Yeah. No, thank you.
gosh.
Yeah.
So freaking
I think
cute.
we all have, I know Melisa has it too, where like we have gate 27, which helps us, like when we're teaching people, we can tweak our phrases and metaphors. Like I've never used that before, but when I use it and I trust my
This
words,
comes too.
right? It's the people that are listening. That's the way that they're going to understand this info the
Yeah.
quickest.
I
So
always refer to it as dumbing it down. I'm like,
yeah,
but not
yeah,
in an offensive way, but just like because a lot of times, like a lot of the terms you're saying, people aren't gonna know.
yes.
So like I'll be like, it's this thing that does this thing. So I totally get what you're saying. And that was brilliant. That was a total brilliant impromptu description, analogy, whatever.
Yeah, it's a muscle that I flexed for 8 years. So I would hope I would
Right.
get some of those right. I've refined the craft a little bit.
Going like,
Yes. Yes. I say it's the muscles that we flex at the spiritual gym. Like it's like working out through all my experiences like that. I use it a lot because there's 2 sides of your body graph, which are actually connected. This will be a good segue to answer your incarnation cross
right?
question. And there's 2 columns. The column on the right-hand side is your personality side. It's all from mybodygraph.com. It's in black. So it's something that you're more aware of. And it also, all of those numbers correlate to all of your astrological placements. So when someone has a gate 26 personality conscious sun like Melisa does, I know that they lead with gate 26 in their energy. So it's about the gift of teaching and wisdom and phrasing things to people. So it's like that's big for, yeah, and it's the gate that helps me find people's incarnation crosses. So that's like my like piece de resistance. Like I love that being like kind of like my this is cool that we're, it's not even enough to know like you're a man gen, but I'm like, but what is your life theme as a manifesting generator? Because I can't help myself. And so when you're looking at your body graph and your Rave mandala, which is like this beautiful circle right behind it, that viewfinder, it's an X marks the spot place that shows us this intersection of 4 gates, which are correlated to the gene keys, 4 gifts that you have that are most prominent for your life purpose. So it's usually a combination. It's, you know, 2 gifts from your personality side, 2 from the left-hand side, which is your design or your own unconscious, a spiritual practice that you're meant to make yourself more aware of through flexing your muscle at the spiritual gym through life experiences. And it tells me like what jobs are good for people. I use it for jobs. I think that there are a lot of people that would give me a little flack for that, where it's like, well, not everyone has to, not your life's purpose isn't just your career. And I'm like, yeah, but it like fucking helps to make sure that your career is also like your life purpose. Like I don't work, you know, in corporate America. I work with corporate America, but I don't work in corporate America for a reason. Like there's, you know, bridging the gap, if you will. But yeah.
Absolutely. So like everybody has an incarnation cross, and that's, I remember that was the first thing you looked up after we got done talking for 20 minutes. You're like, okay, first we'll do this, and then you read it. It didn't make sense to me, but it's something that makes, I just spit everywhere. It makes sense to you. And it helps you understand people. And I'm sure if I did a lot more work, I could understand it. But how, like, give a description of like somebody you're reading, and then you tell them their incarnation cross, and they're like, oh shit, okay, and they flip, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they results because of it, or understood something because of it.
Yeah, so I'll tell you the people that get me so I a lot of people that book with me have what's called their right angle crosses, left angle crosses, and juxtaposition crosses. For people whose profile number is set up like an improper fraction, they have a left angle incarnation cross like you, Christi, because you're a 6-2. The big number comes before the little one. People who are 4-1s are the only profile that have juxtaposition crosses. They're here to be a little bit more balanced, almost like it's giving Libra, like I'm balancing the scales. And then people like myself and Melisa, who have 2, 4, 1, 3, have right angle crosses. Right angle cross people have more personal karma. It's a little bit more like I would be doing what I'm doing no matter what. People are important to me, but they're not going to totally alter what I'm doing and my big overarching theme. You also have things that are similar to that, Christi, but you're going to be like if you find somebody who feels like I know so much about this one area, right? Human design is always going to be my main thing. You'll take that and you'll be like, okay, this is going to be a rabbit hole. And like you have more, there's more of an emphasis on the company that you're keeping, helping you progress in your life theme.
Really?
Yeah. So I can see like, the words that in human design can sometimes be a little tough. The vocabulary is a little nuanced. Like what I keep coming back to is 2 of the gates that you have, which may or may not be in your incarnation cross, Christi, I don't remember off the top of my head, are the gate of focus and the gate of stillness. But it's funny because you would be like, I'm not fucking focused and I'm definitely not fucking still. And it's because it's true, where it's like you can only be focused and still for the stuff that Christi enjoys, but the world tells you and conditions you to tell you that it's not okay to be ADHD, you know, to use those terms. I would say that you're a manifesting generator, you know, and therefore there's, you know, a system. So I am also a fan of like, there are certain things that I will say on TikTok because I have what's called the gate of the game player. I know the systems in which I am playing, and I'm aware that there are apps that we need to play chess on instead of checkers, you know, for what we can say within the confines of this what we need to get the messages out to our people. And I think if you think holistically about knowing your own energy and advocating for yourself for an individual, that helps change our world for the better, you know? So it's interesting with incarnation crosses for somebody who I have that is right angle cross of the unexpected. These people are like, oh, like unexpected. Like I hate the unexpected. I don't want to deal with the unexpected. And I often give the example of like nurses or doctors. You became really specialized in this discipline. So your unexpected is like, I know that when I'm on and I'm in the ER, right? Like that I know that the unexpected is I don't know what injuries are going to come at me on any given day, but I know that I've prepared myself and refined the skill set so that I can handle the unexpected when it happens. But it comes with me setting boundaries for the type of unexpected that I'm willing to receive. So that's always like a big like relief for those people.
Yeah.
There are people who are right angle cross of the unexpected, who are people who are like, or excuse me, right angle cross of the sleeping phoenix, where they have a lot of death and rebirth cycles. This also has to do usually with people who have Scorpio placements, Scorpio north nodes especially. That's also I have a lot of 38-year-olds that are going through that right now. And then yours, Christy, is left angle cross of rulership. It's figuring
And
out
I think it's Endeavor. I thought it was
oh,
on.
Endeavor. Oh, this is, oh
Yeah.
yeah, this is Melisa. Okay, that's whose body graph I have. Yeah. So it's basically like if you're looking
Yeah.
at that last word, it's kind of like a cheat sheet for like what endeavors do you want to be a part of, and doing things for the experience, not the outcome. Endeavor to me is like a journey, right? But like the journey has an ending and then I get to go on another one. So when
Right.
life feels too dull, what do I do to re-engage myself with life again, to remember that I'm a person that's meant to explore
Right.
things of that
What,
nature?
what was it that you said Melisa has? I'm very interested in all.
Right angle cross of rulership. So it's finding the way that you want to guide and direct people, because you have the gate of directing people in your incarnation cross, which
Can I
is
just briefly mention here, she is a
It's
hypno
intimidating.
past life regressionist, and she guides people into their own past lives and traumas. And that's so cool because it's perfect.
yes.
I kind of feel like that's my mission in this life, is like to help people awaken to like their own multidimensionality, and to like invite people to like come home to themselves and like break out of the matrix and like decondition. Like it's safe to do that. Like I really feel like that's, ever since I've gone through my awakening, like that's my mission to the world, is like to go out there and help other people awaken too. But I have to do it in such a gentle way because I'm such an introvert, and like I don't know, like I have to do it in my way. Like the typical business models and like everything that's out there, like it's not, like I'm very intuitive. I have to follow. Or like I have to write when I'm feeling inspired to write. I can't just like sit down and be like, okay, now I'm gonna write poetry. Like it just does
Yeah.
not flow like that for me.
I'm way the opposite. I'm like, I'm not even gonna worry about it. It'll come to me like when I'm ready. I do want to ask you this real quick. It's nothing to do with our show, really, but my husband is the left angle cross of demands. And when I saw that, I was like, oh shit.
Yes. It's similar to, it's funny, similar to Melisa, where it's like I want to rule over something, but I write my own rule book. It's
Yeah.
like I'm the person that's like, meant to rule in a certain way, but it's based on my rules. Manifestors are similar. It's like left angle cross of demands, thinking of demands is like, what are the demands that I am imparting onto people? Like, because again, manifestors are very king, queen energy. So it's like, and what are the demands that are, I kind of know are good demands to follow? That's a very, the descriptions that I'm giving are very sweeping generalizations. I have to see other areas of the sum of all of his parts, but it's like really looking at any word in human design. If you guys ever get stuck on the terminology, just Google the meaning of the word, like the meat of the word, where it's like demands, like mine is a right angle cross of consciousness, like, rulership, etc. Yeah. So mine is like, it's so like Pisces and Aquarius, Scorpio, which are all my placements, where it's like bringing people to self-awareness and like raising their consciousness and making them aware. Like, it's a lot of that type of like, yeah.
Well, that's what I love that stuff so much. So how many, you don't have to name them all because I think I Googled it and it was a lot. How many incarnation crosses are there?
So there's 188 variations of general ones, but I think it's something like, I think it's 188. I always get my eights confused. And then there's like 846 different variations that you can be, because then we're multiplying. Okay, so this is how it works, right? There's a gate that is in your top right quadrant on your right side column. Then under that, there's either, you could be a left angle cross, a juxtaposition cross, or a left angle juxtaposition or right angle. And then you're multiplying that. Like, so it's a lot of multiples, where it's like, there's a bunch of different profiles that you can then be. There's 12 different profiles. So it's like, there's all of that multiplication. I'm not a math person by any stretch of the imagination. So that's where we get like, okay, but then there's 188 potentials, but then we're factoring in all of the profiles that you can have. It's then that number times 12, which is probably like 188 times 12. Sounds to me like it would be about 800 and something.
Can you name them
Yeah,
all, please? I'm just
what's
kidding.
that? Yeah, I know. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna remember that for the next time somebody asks me that question.
I'm totally joking. I would never.
Yes. No, but
Already-
I'm all like numbers with my 1-3. I'm like very much like, no, but I have to know the answer. Like I'm like relentless until I find out like, okay, like I remember like statistically, it's about 20% of the population that's projectors, and then 70% that have sacral definition, etc. Yeah.
Okay, I know this is getting kind of long, but I just have personally for something I want to know one more question, and it is, fuck. Oh, the it's okay. I don't even remember what it's called, but like the numbers. I'm a 6'2". I'm like the role model hermit. How many of those things are there? What did you call those?
There's profiles, so
Profiles,
there's
yeah.
12.
Oh,
So
profiles.
there are going to be a combination of any number between 1 and 6. So we have let's see if I can do it off the top of my head. You can count with me. So there's the 1 3 1 4, 2 4 2 5, 4 1s, 5 1s, 5 2s, 4 6s, 6 3s, 6 4s, and I'm forgetting like 1 or 2 people. I didn't go in order because I think of like, huh?
I said 6'2". I know you didn't say
Yeah.
that one. So you're only missing one. So you did good.
Okay, thank you. I said 2 4, right? I was like, I didn't forget.
Yeah.
That's right in front of me. I don't, this is a little bit of a tangent, but we were rewatching Friends, and there's an episode where they're at Thanksgiving and they're trying to name all 50 states in 6 minutes or less. And I was like, oh, I could do that. And I forgot Wyoming, Pennsylvania, which is the state I live in, and like a couple others. And I was like, that's so like I overthink it, when there's a timeline. But yeah, so it's every number 1 through 6 has an archetype. Line 1, no matter what profile, is the line of the investigator. 2 is the hermit. 3 is the martyr. 4 is the opportunist. 5 is the heretic, and 6 is the role model.
Okay, so those were the ones I specifically wanted. The names of the numbers. I just didn't know how to ask it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I can usually decipher. Yeah.
I know. You just pick it out of my head. This is what you're trying to say, Chris. Well, do you have any more questions, Melisa, or do you have any more like things we didn't cover? Because I think it's been a little bit over an hour, and I promise you it wouldn't be longer than an hour.
I'm here for the ride. Yeah.
It's been fucking fun.
Yes.
I'm having a blast. I'm like,
This
Melisa?
was so incredible. Brenna, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you
me.
for sharing your wisdom and for giving Christy and I some more insights into ourselves. Like this is such incredible work. And where can people find you? Like shout out your socials, shout out your website, like so that everybody can come and get a reading from you because this is just incredible, beautiful work that you're doing. So where can
And
you
after watching this, they'd be silly not to. Like,
yeah.
I appreciate that.
I'm so impressed by like just you
Her
don't even
brain.
have to like refer to like notes or like you just know this so deeply. It's really impressive. I'm blown
Purpose.
away. I can't wait to get my reading.
I'm so excited. I'm going to send you a special link. So I'll get your email after we're done here. But it's brennakeeley.com. So it's BrennaKeeley, a lot of doubles. And then my TikTok is Brenna's here. So BrennaShere. And then my Instagram is Brenna M. Keeley. So you can find me. I keep it's very man-gen to just have it be my name, and then I can change it based on how my personality works over time.
I'll tag you in
love
all
that.
of it too on all the socials to make sure that people can just click on, because I'll make a trailer and then I'll tag you in the trailer.
Sounds like
Yeah,
a plan.
and we'll link all of your socials in the show notes as well.
Yes.
Well, this was such an incredible conversation. I want to thank Brenna for coming on the show today, and it has been amazing getting to know you.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me.
I love you both, like seriously, both of you guys so much. I'm stuttering over my words. Do we want to do our like outro thing? Like,
Yeah. And
we have like,
And thank you all for tuning in to New Earth News, a show where we talk all things 5D and the New Earth every Friday on YouTube. So if you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. New Earth News is also available as a podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts, so make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you are so inclined, give your girls a 5-star rating. Thank you again for tuning in, and until next time,
we invite you to choose the matrix of love and align yourself to the frequency of the new earth. Do you like it? Thank you, Brenna, so much. You're amazing.